Hey fam, MarshaunO here. I am your life and relationship strategist, so thank you so much for coming to watch today. I want to talk to you and answer the question of why did I get married? Maybe your question is, why did I get in this relationship? Why am I still here in this relationship? And so I wanted to come here and talk to you. For those of you, most of you know that this is my second marriage. And the first time I got married, I have to say it was because he was my very first boyfriend. He was the first guy to treat me really well. He was the first guy to make me feel beautiful. He was the first guy to literally utter those words that you are beautiful. He made me feel like he understood me. He made me feel like he treasured me. He made me feel like, when you two are just the only two in the room. That is how he made me feel. He made me feel special. He made me feel like I was his one and only. And so I met him at the age of 18 and we hit it off. We got married when I was 21. And so that's why I married him and married my first husband, coupled with the fact that I didn't know who I was, didn't understand what was actually going on, meaning how to really be in a relationship, how to be in a marriage, because although I was surrounded by marriage my entire life, or at least relationships, I was never sat down and had that talk about this is what you should expect, this is what you should accept. This is the way to quote unquote behave. This is how to be a good wife. This is what you should expect out of your husband being a good husband to you. So I didn't have any of those talks. And so, like many of you guys out here, I decided to jump in that relationship, stay in that relationship, and try to nurture and cultivate a healthy relationship within that relationship. So I have to say that also, I did know that there was some red flags there. But at the time, I didn't realize that's what they were called, or some people may call them deal breakers. I didn't realize that's what they were called. He did start showing this to me right before we got married, but in my mind, I didn't realize that I could actually say, no, that's not what I want, and walk away, right? So I verbalized that that's not what I wanted. I didn't like the person that he was showing me who he could be, but I also didn't feel like I had the nerve or the guts or even the words to utter, this is not what I want. And so because this is not what I want, I'm going to actually choose to not get married and not do this. I didn't realize that I had that voice. I didn't realize that I had that choice. And so on top of all of the other things that he made me feel, especially in the beginning, I didn't realize that I had a voice and can actually use that voice to say, you know what, although you showed me this particular guy when we first started dating, years after and right before we got married, you are not the guy that you presented yourself to be. And I could walk away. I didn't realize that. So now that was my first marriage, and that was why I got married. We also got a divorce for those same reasons. Because after a while, those red flags, those deal breakers of mine, they overtook the relationship. And it was because he literally became the person that I wanted him to be versus showing me the man that he truly was from the beginning. And like so many of you guys out there, I'm no different. I went through this again at the age of 21, and I was married for 7 years. So I was in that relationship, and it had many and plenty of great times, plenty of good times. But toward the end of it, the last 2 years of the relationship, it went way downhill, and it just seemed like we couldn't recover from it. As much as I wanted to put in building up and cultivating and forgiving, and let's move forward, and let's go to counseling, let's make sure that we're incorporating God into our relationship more, let's pray together. It just was not working out, mainly because I was the only one who was making sure these things got done. So he would participate, but it really wasn't in his heart. And because it wasn't in his heart, after a while, you can only be in a marriage, you can only be in a relationship for so long before you end up losing a piece of yourself, and your self-esteem takes a hit, and you're just feeling worthless. And after a while, I just got tired of doing that. And the final straw the final straw for that relationship was when he put his hands on me. Literally, he actually choked me. And that was the day that I was just like, enough is enough. You never put your hands on me before. I know enough about my self-esteem that being in an abusive relationship was not and is not for me at all. And so because it's not for me, I took a stand that day and I left and I never returned. So when I never returned, we went through our divorce. We did the paperwork and all of that stuff. And then I actually was in the dating stages for 14 years. So at the age of 26, 27, I was basically thrust back into the dating phase and cool it. I was thrust back into the dating phase and I had to start this thing all over again. And I realized that even when I was in the dating stages, how I still, even after being in a relationship that long, there was just things that I still didn't understand. I still didn't really realize that's what was actually happening, and I just had to learn a lot of things. And in that learning, I had to learn about me. I had to learn who I was. I had to learn what I actually liked, what I disliked. I could tell you some things, of course, because I was in a marriage, and I could tell you some of the things that I did not like. But by and large, because he was my very first boyfriend, the very first guy that I really gave time and attention, energy to, I had no real experience other than seeing what my friends were going through or my family members had gone through and just some of the things that they talked about. But specifically to my relationships, I had to bump my own head. I had to figure me out. I had to love on Marshaun. I had to say, you know what? You had low self-esteem. And now it's time to start building up that self-esteem. Now, and actually not start, continue, because while I was in my first marriage, I did start to build up my self-esteem with the help of my ex-husband. He was like the catalyst for me learning and loving who I am to this day. So he was the start of that. So I'll give him nothing but props for that. He was the start of saying, Marshaun, you need to love yourself. And fast forward, while I was in the dating stages for those 14 years, again, I had to just learn who I was. I put myself through courses. I put myself through just asking as many questions as I can. And while I was dating, I even went back and asked some of the previous guys, my previous relationships that didn't go any further, why didn't we go any further? Because I needed to hear some honest truth, and I could only get the honest truth from the guys that I was dating because they knew who I was in the dating situation. When you're in it, you can't really see yourself, right? So I needed somebody else to tell me how it was while I was dating them and why we didn't work out. And I got that information, and then I started working on that information because I never got the report per se that I was just a horrible person. I was a person that didn't make them feel good. It was literally things that I could work on. And the thing that I always think about is that I was clingy, because I was clingy, and I can still be clingy. Now I'm conscious about it, but I still can be clingy. That is my personality. I am, out of the 5 love languages, personal touch and just being around you, quality time. Those are my top 2. And so that's what I still require in my relationship, but I'm able to understand and recognize that not everybody is like that. Thank God my now husband actually really loves quality time. So it matches up for us. So now let me get into my actual second marriage. The reason why I got married the second time is because I knew exactly who I was. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what I deserved and what I desired. And I made a deal breakers list. And in the course of dating, I would mentally check off the things that were on my deal breakers list. And if by chance the guy didn't match up over a certain percentage, then I knew he wasn't for me. And I would leave it like that, really, by chance. And I have to clarify, I didn't go out on the dates or go into it saying he needs to check off this, this, and this. I would give it a chance to unfold and mature. And if we took the step to say that we were going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, then I would really like come back to my deal breakers list and say, okay, what does he actually have on there or not? And then I would compare and contrast it that way. What made me fall for my second husband was the fact that he knew exactly who he was. There was no pressure. You guys know that he is Nigerian, so he is from Africa. He really is just his own man. I didn't have to go through all of that stigma and drama that you hear about foreigners and how they use you for their paperwork. He didn't do that for me or to me. He's gotten everything that he's needed paperwork wise. He's gotten all of that on his own. So I know that there has been questions asked to me about, you know, did he use me for his for the papers and all of this other stuff. Sometimes it's indirectly asked, but that answers your question. I did not help him with any of his paperwork. Zero. That made me think very highly of him. He also wanted to leave his country as much as he loved his home country. He wanted to leave his country because he wanted a better life, not only for him, but he wanted a better life for his future children. That was a huge turn on for me. He made some sacrifices for sure. He's been through some things, but he was able to be very vulnerable with me. That was very sexy quality that he has. He's able to open up and share some of the not so nice things that he's been through in his life. That is a total turn on for me. He wants to provide and take care of the family. That is a turn on for me. He makes me feel beautiful. He makes me feel heard. He makes me feel wanted. And that's a total turn on for me as well. He brings many qualities to the table. And when I went back to look over my deal breakers list and the things that he was bringing to the table versus the things that he was not, he matched up to about 85 to 90% of what I wanted in a partner, in a life partner. And so because of that, we're married today. Like literally, because of that, we are married today. Now, do we still have our differences? Of course we do. I tell you guys all the time, we have cultural differences because we do. That's something real in our relationship. But I know that he loves me. I know that he respects me. I know that we can actually sit down and have tough conversations. Those conversations when I don't want to hear what he has to say. Those conversations, cool it. Those conversations when he doesn't want to hear what I have to say. And we are able to hold a safe space to be able to have those conversations, whether we want to have them or not. Mommy. It's okay. Just give me a moment. I'm almost done. And so that is why I married my second husband. There are some talks about fantasy versus reality. We are both in the mindset that we are not living in a fantasy at all. Again, we don't always want to talk about the things that we need to talk about, but we still sit down and actually talk about those things. We don't, my daughter was distracting me, so she's making me lose my train of thought. But we do not sugarcoat. We're very respectful when we speak to each other, but we don't sugarcoat the things that we need to really say, like the things that we both need to work on. Again, neither one of us wants to hear them, but we're both really respectful in the sense to say, I respect me enough to be able to have this difficult conversation with you. I respect you enough for you to give me the safe space and be able to express the things that I need to say to you so you can work on them so we can keep and hold a deeper connection, a more intimate connection, a happy, more fulfilling relationship, one where neither one of us have experienced before. Because for me in my first marriage, I wasn't able to be as open as I am in this marriage. And let me clarify that. It wasn't that I wasn't told that I was told that I could not be open. It was just something that I felt that I couldn't be open because of me. Nothing against my ex-husband, really was all because of me, because I didn't know me. I didn't 100% love myself at the time. And so, cool it. And so that is why I got married both times. That is why I have become the woman that I am. Go away. Go away. Finish drawing on that paper. Go. That is why I have and am the woman that I am today. That is why I love myself. That is why I'm able to speak about relationships. This is why it is very important for me to come here and share these things with you, because I have been where you are. It's no fun when you just don't know. And when you don't know what you are doing wrong, it makes it even harder for you to connect with your partner, with your spouse. It makes it harder for you to be able to express yourself in a healthy manner without all of the yelling, screaming, cussing, name calling, punching holes in walls. It makes it harder for you to show up and be your authentic self. And so the only way to show up and be your authentic self is you need to know the reasons why you got married, the reasons why you got into a relationship in the beginning. Why did you choose that mate? And be real with yourself. Being real with yourself is not always pretty. Literally, you might have chose that spouse for financial gain. Literally, you might have chose that spouse to get your paperwork. Literally, you might have chose that spouse because you didn't think that you would ever find anybody else. Maybe you chose that spouse to get away from your home, meaning with your parents or your siblings, whatever was going on there. Be real with yourself on why you chose to get married, why you chose to choose that spouse, why you chose to stay in that relationship, because that is going to be the only way that you are able to move your life forward, to move your relationship forward, to fully understand yourself, as well as your spouse being able to open up to you and you fully understand your spouse. Again, this is your girl, MarshaunO. I hope that this has helped you understand why you chose the relationship that you chose, why you chose the spouse that you chose. And if in this moment you don't know, take some time to sit down and think about why you chose to be in that relationship, why you chose to be in that marriage, why you chose to be with your now spouse. Why do you need to be in a relationship at all? Be real with yourself, and then you'll be able to express yourself that much more clearly when somebody asks you, why did you get married? I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you so much. Bye.